Hello everyone, and a very big welcome to Hide and Seek Curious Camouflage with the National Museum of Ireland Natural History as part of the Festival of Curiosity 2021. My name is Emma.
And I'm Geraldine.
And we work in the Education Department at the National Museum of Ireland Natural History, which is also known as the Dead Zoo. Big hello to all the curious families joining us live today. Let us know in the chat where in the world or in Ireland that you're joining us from. So what is today's event all about? Well, this month in the museum, we've been exploring the topic of camouflage in the animal kingdom. Today, we're going to play a pre-recorded video explaining how animals find food and how to spot hiding animals. We are going to test your seeking skills at home during the event, and we're also going to show you how to play a game of predators and prey at home. Most importantly, we are going to answer your questions on camouflage live. So use the live chat throughout the event to post your questions, and we will do our best to answer as many as possible during this next half hour. So now we're going to play the pre-recording, but we will be back live in the museum to take your questions shortly. So enjoy, and we'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the National Museum of Ireland Natural History. My name is Emma, and I am a zoologist and museum educator. Today, we're going to look at some animals from the museum collections and explore how animals find food and avoid becoming food. A predator is an animal that eats other animals for food. A prey animal is one that is eaten by predators. We're also going to learn how to play a game about predators and prey at home. If you are a predator, there's an awful lot of potential food or prey in the world. But you need to find it and not waste too much time getting it. Finding where the food is can be done in many different ways, using different abilities. If you are an animal that has eyes, this is a good way to find food, as light allows you to see exactly where the food is. Even if you're a predator that spends most of your time looking for food in the dark, like this owl over here, or this lemur, you can have special eyes to allow this. Many animals that come out at night have large eyes. If you really can't use light, then you can use other senses. Kiwi birds use smell to find buried worms. They have nostrils all the way down on the tip of their beak to help. Other animals, such as vultures, also find food using their sense of smell. Barn owls use sound to pinpoint prey in complete darkness, and they have special ears to allow this. And many other animals have other special senses. The list is long. Once you know where the food is, how do you know that it is the right kind of food? If you're a predator, you might look at the size and the shape. This is where it gets interesting. Many animals hide using camouflage, which means to hide or use a disguise. This makes it hard for predators to see them. Animals' colours, patterns, or shapes can hide them. This lets them blend into the places where they live. This can be a challenge for predators. How do they see through the camouflage used by their prey? Looking for symmetry, where the right and left side of the body are the same and mirror each other, is a good hint that this might be an animal, i.e. prey. Post the comment found when you find the moth in this image. Did you spot it? Scientists have shown that both humans and birds are really good at finding symmetrical prey, even when they match or blend in to the background. If you've ever helped someone to find something that they've lost, you'll already know that it helps if you know exactly what you're looking for before searching. This is called having a search image. Add the comment "found" when you find the caterpillar in the image coming on your screen now. I'll give you a hint. It's very fake looking. For those who didn't find it, this is what it looks like. Now, comment again when you find a caterpillar on the next image. Well done! Also, you can find it even faster if there are lots of them. This is because you get used to what they look like, and also, anywhere you look, you will see one. Now it's time to learn to play a game at home. In this game, you're going to pretend to be predators searching for prey. The prey will be fake caterpillars hiding in a habitat. First, you need to gather together 2 packets of different dry pasta shapes. For example, 1 penne and 1 other shape, such as shells or fusilli. You'll also need a timer or a watch, a large bowl or container, and some coloured markers. First, we need to choose 1 pasta shape to be the habitat. I've picked fusilli, and 1 to be the caterpillars. Penne is the best shape for this. Put the habitat pasta shapes into the large bowl or container. Take 30 pieces of the caterpillar penne pasta shapes. Now we're going to colour in the 30 caterpillars in bright colours using the coloured markers. Scatter these coloured caterpillars in the bowl with the habitat pasta and mix them in so they are hidden. Set a timer to 30 seconds. On go, 1 predator has to pick up as many caterpillars as they can find and place them to the side. Time's up. Count the caterpillar pieces that were found. Then return them back into the habitat. Now, we're going to repeat the activity all over again, but this time we're also going to add in 30 plain penne caterpillars. These ones are not coloured, so they blend in with the habitat. Again, give 30 seconds to find as many caterpillars as you can and place them to the side. Time's up. This time, count the numbers of bright coloured versus non-coloured caterpillars that were found. Each predator can take it in turns to complete the challenge. Now compare results. Which caterpillars were the hardest to find? Answers will vary from person to person, but generally, those that blend in with the habitat are the hardest caterpillars to find. How does this game show us how camouflage helps prey? Well, the answer is that camouflage helps make the prey harder for predators to see. I hope you enjoyed learning how to play that game. We have instructions on how to play the game available to download on the museum website, museum.ie. Welcome back, everyone. So, we've explored how animals use different senses to find food and how some animals use camouflage to avoid becoming food for other animals too. Remember, if you would like to download those game instructions or any of our other hide and seek activity sheets exploring the world of camouflage, check them out in the Museum at Home section on museum.ie. So, Geraldine, I can see we have some questions that have come in. So keep them coming in, everyone. If you haven't asked us a question yet, be sure to pop them into the live chat there on Facebook or YouTube, and we'll do our best to get to them during the event. But before we get to those questions, Geraldine, I have a question for you first. Is that okay?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, what is your favourite animal that uses camouflage? And can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yes, and I have thought long and hard about this one because there's just so many cool animals out there that can camouflage. Yeah. But in the end, I've kind of cheated and picked a group of animals. So not just one. So this group of animals, their name is the cephalopods.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's their name in Latin, but you might know them as octopus or squid, or even something called cuttlefish. Oh. And so I really like these animals because they are the masters of camouflage. And I suppose most of us are kind of familiar with the 8-armed octopus that lives under the sea. And like, guys, octopus and cuttlefish and squids, they are found off the coast of Ireland. And you can see them on display in the museum as well. We have them in our collections. But we have a lovely picture of an octopus there that's in our collections at the museum. And we also have a squid coming up now soon. So I'm going to take you through our squid. So you can kind of see they have this like body shape here at the end, and that is called their mantle. And then they have this kind of what looks like their little head, and you can kind of see the eyes on either side. So they've got really good eyesight. And then this squid has 8 arms. And then you might notice they have 2 long tentacles as well. These are their feeding tentacles. And yes, these animals, they are predators. So they do hunt, but they are also hunted. And lots of sea creatures will eat octopus and squid and cuttlefish. So like whales and sharks. So they're very important creatures in the sea. So back to camouflage though. So the cephalopods are masters of camouflage because they have very special cells underneath their skin, and they're called chromatophores. And they use these to change the color, pattern, and the texture of their skin in the blink of an eye, super fast. And they do this when they sense danger, and they need to maybe hide quickly to protect themselves. Yeah. They literally become invisible, or they become like the rocks or coral that surrounds them. But they also use their camouflage mastery when they want to wait in ambush for their unsuspecting prey, because, they are hunters themselves. Yeah. So I suppose that would be my favorite group of animals that can camouflage, because they're so different, and, to us anyway, yet they can do things that I can only dream of. So I think they're fantastic. And it'd be great to hear what all the families out there, do they have any favorite, animals that camouflage? Pop them into the comments. We'd love to hear. Yeah. But Emma, what about you? Do you have a favorite animal that camouflages?
Yeah, well, do you know what? I love your favorite, I have to say, and I agree with you. Those that family of animals and those special cells they have, the chromatophores, are really incredible. Me, I think my favorite is probably something like these leaf insects. We're going to bring an image onto your screen now. These are in the collections of the museum, these particular ones, and they're leaf insects because, as you can see, they look exactly like leaves. They might remind you of another type of insect you'll be familiar with, would be stick insects as well. And I just love how adapted they are. Like the outside of their bodies, really, they've gone all out with the camouflage to make their shape and their color, everything about them blend in with the kind of plants that they live on. And one of my favorite things about these guys, and with the stick insects as well, is that it's not just what they look like, okay? They also adapt their behavior, so how they act, to make their camouflage even better. And one of the things that they do, of course, is they try and sit still as much as they can. So, you know, movement might give them away, but if they can sit still, they will try and do that. But if it's an especially windy day or there's a bit of a breeze going on, you'll actually see these animals waving, and they try to mimic the leaves blowing in the wind, just so basically they look natural and they don't give themselves away. So I love that about these guys, that they've adapted their behavior as well to make their disguise even better. So yeah.
So cool. Well, we have a few questions coming in. So one we have here, Emma, so I might ask you this one. It's about predators. So you know the way, so some predators, like say like a leopard that has spots as camouflage too. Like, so why do predators have these spots? Like, do they, like, because they don't need to hide from anything, do they?
Oh, that's a really great question. So I suppose we always think that animals might need to hide because they're trying to avoid being eaten. But in reality, hiding is really useful no matter what kind of animal you are, because even if you're a predator, if you want to catch an animal and eat it, you have to be able to get close enough to it before it sees you, in order to catch it before it runs away from you. So a lot of predators will have their own camouflage, like leopards with their spots, and tigers with their stripes as well. Lots of animals use camouflage, and really it's just so they won't be seen until they want to be seen. And predators definitely use that. And if we think about the big cats, that whole family of leopards, jaguars, tigers, even lions, because lions they don't have spots or stripes, but they match very well with the grasses in Africa where they live on the savannah. So all of these big cats, they're usually ambush predators. So what they do is they try, like the squid, they try to get as close to the animal they want to catch without being seen before they launch their attack. Basically means they don't have to tire themselves out by running too much, so they can just do an ambush attack. So that's a great question, guys. So so lots of animals, predators and prey, they all use camouflage.
Camouflage is very cool. We have just a comment from Ayana, age 10. She says her favorite camouflage animal is a chameleon. It's fascinating how they can change color. Oh, yes, that is so cool. Oh, and we have another one here from Andrea, from Inez, age 6. Favorite camouflage animal, a unicorn. Unicorns have all the powers. Oh, I love them too.
Amazing.
So we have another question here. I'm wondering from Alex, who says, do we have leaf insects in Ireland? I'm not too sure. Emma, do you know?
It's a really great question. Thanks, Alex, for popping that in. Do you know what? I'm not sure about leaf insects, but I do know that we actually have a population now of stick insects living in Ireland.
What?
Yeah. And do you know what? They're not native to Ireland. They're actually not, they shouldn't really be here. But there's a really big population of little green stick insects down in around Kerry and Cork, West Cork. And people think now, they live in the wild now, but they think that they were somebody's pets. and they got a little bit tired of them, or maybe by accident they put some of them outside by accident, and it's so basically the climate down there suits them really well, and they've spread. So they actually, people now might sometimes find stick insects in their houses down around West Cork and Kerry sometimes. So that's
so
a
cool.
great question. Yeah.
You know what, though? We might ask, we have an entomologist curator, we might check with him if there's any leaf insects in Ireland. And what we might do is we'll comment it on in the YouTube comments later on today or next week. So keep an eye. So sorry, guys, we mightn't have the answer straight away, but if you check back on the YouTube channel, we can have an answer for you there. All right. Brilliant. So Emma, there's another question here. It is, if animals camouflage so they can blend into their habitat, what happens if the place where they live changes?
Oh, okay. So this is a really good question, guys. And yeah, you're really thinking about the fact that, these animals are specialized and adapted over many generations. It took millions of years for most of these animals to develop these incredible camouflage skills, to evolve to match their habitat. And that means that they rely on that habitat. And I suppose if it changes, there are two things that can happen, right? Either the habitat changes over a very, very long period of time. We're talking about like geological time scales, like millions and millions of years. So naturally, of course, the climate on Earth changes sometimes over very long periods, like back at dinosaur times, and now the climate's very different. That can happen over a very long time, but it gives animals time to adapt. So some animals, if their habitat changes over a very long period of time, they have enough time to kind of change with the habitat and to stay basically adapted to whatever habitat they live in. But if the habitat changes over a shorter period of time, so we're talking about anything from, a few days, if trees are cut down in an area, or up to maybe 100 years, that's still a very short time for an animal to be able to evolve and change. So if their habitat changes over a short period of time, they might not be able to adapt and to change their camouflage. And what that means is that, say, if they're a prey animal, they might be more vulnerable to being eaten by other animals because they can't blend in. And then what can happen as well is, if they're a predator and they've nowhere to hide, or they can't blend in to sneak up on their prey, they might find it hard to catch their dinner as well. So it can really impact all the tree of life, basically, if in an area, if the habitat changes too quickly. So great question.
Yeah, very interesting. So,
I have one here for you, Geraldine, that has come in about sharks. So let me see, we have it here. So in that video, we mentioned some animals have different special senses to help them find food. People are asking, what kinds of senses are these? So can you give us an example of a special sense a shark might have?
Yeah, absolutely. So they have like all the senses that we would have. So eyesight, hearing, smell, but then they've special senses that like we don't have. So I like to think of them as superpowers. So they have, they can basically sense electrical pulses in the water. Yeah. So they can basically feel like the heartbeat, maybe of a flatfish that's hiding under the sand. And so in the heartbeats, it gives off an electrical pulse, and the shark can sense that, which is incredible. So for instance, if it's pitch dark outside, or it's nighttime, say the water, it's pitch black, the shark doesn't need to use its eyesight. It can sense those electrical senses. So that's kind of like a superpower. They also have another sense that they can use, which is called their lateral line. So right along the middle of their body, from the tip of their nose all the way down to the end of their tail, they have this lateral line, and that helps them sense changes of pressure in the water. So again, when the little fish are swimming, there's pressure changes in the water, and the shark can sense them as well. So they are remarkable creatures, and we will maybe be talking about them in August in another event. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah,
we're big fans of sharks here.
We love sharks. That's brilliant. Thanks a million, Geraldine. So let me see what else is coming in. we've got one question asking, are any of these camouflage animals protected? So are they protected? And that is a great question. So thanks, Ayana. So yeah, these camouflaged animals are, some of them are protected. So a lot of animals are protected by law, and usually how people decide this is if there's not many of them left, or if there's other pressures like that, if their habitat is changing very quickly, or if there's a lot of hunting or pollution where they live. Sometimes animals might be listed as endangered or at risk of going extinct. So they'll be on something called the IUCN Red List. And if an animal, if we know that an animal is at risk or in danger, what we can do is we can bring in laws to protect them. And most animals who are on those lists are all protected by law. So you can't hunt them or move them around or anything like that. They have to be protected. And usually their habitats are protected as well. So great question.
Yeah. So yeah, and like think of even like some animals like little birds, we've lots of great birds in Ireland, and some of the birds that are the nesting birds, the females are that kind of more dull colors, but it's a good reason why they're more those browny colors is so that they can camouflage on the nest so nothing can see them. And those birds would be protected by law when they're nesting. So they're camouflaged and they're protected by law. We can't touch them or their eggs. So that's a good thing. Yeah,
that's a great point, Geraldine, actually, because people often wonder, don't they? Like, I know I used to wonder why the female birds always looked a little bit plain next to the male birds. And yeah, that's a great point. So it's because they sit on the nest. Yeah. Brilliant.
Camouflage is great. Yeah, it's perfect. It makes total sense, doesn't it? It's a wonderful thing. Wish I could do it.
Great. Yeah, I know. I wish I could as well, although I'm trying my best. So let me see. One more question that I would like to ask you, Geraldine, which I suppose links into what you were saying before about the squid, is someone was asking about octopus camouflage, and they're part of the same family. And they're asking, how are they so good at it? So I suppose you've already told us about those amazing special cells they have, the chromatophores, but can you tell us, are there anything else that octopus do that makes them so good at the camouflage?
Yeah, well, they can change, like I said, the skin color, but also because they're soft-bodied, they can completely change their shape. So they can, change the surface of their skin and texture, and then contort their bodies into these cool shapes, and even hide under things. Like some have been shown to hide under coconut shells. So they can just fit inside it and just hide. So it's really cool. So that's one thing. And then they can also do something which is so this is like their behavior. So they're great mimics as well, some of them. So sometimes they will change their behavior, and sometimes some will act like a sea snake. So they will change the shape of their body and the color of their skin and make themselves look like a sea snake. And that's a really good thing to do, because sea snakes are one of the most venomous creatures on the planet. So lots of fish stay very clear from them. So it's a good animal to mimic to help protect themselves.
That's very clever.
Yeah, really cool. But they can mimic a number of different species or types of animals. Octopus can, and so there's actually some really cool videos online where you can see the different species of octopus mimicking other types of animals, and it's really, really cool because they're masters of it.
That's so cool. Yeah. And we just have one more question I think we'll fit in just before we have to finish today, which has come in, and Inez is asking us, is there any domestic animal that can camouflage? And I suppose domestic animals would be things like our cats and our dogs, things that we keep in our houses, I suppose. And yeah, like cats and dogs have their own camouflage. So sometimes if you look at a cat or a dog, you will see that their belly is usually a bit lighter than their back. That's usually the case for most animals, and that's a special type of camouflage called counter shading. And basically what it means is it just helps them blend in. When they're seen from above, the darker color on their back blends in with the ground, and the light color on their belly blends in with the sky if you're looking up at them from below. We have a comment coming in here that sharks use that too. So yeah, lots of animals. Sharks aren't domestic though, but yeah, lots of different animals use counter shading because it's so effective. Great question there, guys. So I'm afraid that's all we have time for today, guys. Yeah, it flew by, and thanks so much for watching, guys. That's almost everything. But just to let you know that later today, you're going to receive an email which lists all the free Camouflage resources that are on the museum website for you to download. So the links will be in that email. You should be receiving it just about now. So we've got a load of different activity sheets and instructions for that game as well. Also in that email, there's going to be a link to a really short feedback form. And it should only take 2 minutes for you guys to complete, but all of your feedback helps us improve these events and helps us do better in future. So please do let us know what you think. Big thank you to everyone in the museum who helped us run this event today, particularly, of course, Geraldine and my other colleagues in education, the IT department and marketing as well. And a big thank you to the Festival of Curiosity for inviting us to take part in this year's festival programme. We've had an discovering all these things about camouflage. And a big thank you to all of you guys for watching and coming along and taking part as well. We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. So keep an eye on the website. We've lots of free activities on there. For families and for everyone really, and keep an eye. We've got some exciting events coming up. As Geraldine said, we've got some coming up in August, which you can look forward to, including a talk on Irish Wales. And if you want to hear what's coming up in the museum, just subscribe to all of our social media channels. And remember to stay curious, guys. Okay, bye.
Bye. Thanks, everyone. See you again.